Dwight D. Eisenhower once said that there's no tragedy in life like the death of a child. Things never quite get back like they were. How would any of us feel if we lost one of our children to leukemia, or one of the many diseases that can now be cured by stem cells that are found in umbilical cord blood? Tonight we're going to be talking about collecting and saving cord blood and how it's easy for doctors to do, and I want to persuade you that you should do it for your own children. This topic is going to be relevant to any parents, soon-to-be parents, or parents that already have children and are considering having other children. It's especially relevant if you're currently pregnant and about to give birth, as my wife is in 1 month. So we're going to discuss what cord blood is, what stem cells are, and some of the benefits that are currently available to you, and what they're researching, some of the things that you can expect to happen in the future. We're going to discuss the difference between embryonic stem cells and cord blood cells, and why that cord blood cells have less of a stigma attached to them. We're going to discuss the value in terms of how much it costs versus what you get, what are your benefits, and why ultimately you should make the choice to go ahead and collect and save the stem cell blood. Let's begin by discussing what cord blood is, what stem cells are, and some of the benefits that are already available and what's yet to come. Stem cells are unspecialized cells that are formed when a baby is being born or growing in the womb, and they're unspecialized, meaning that they can take on the form of other cells. This is useful because they can be injected into muscle tissue, your heart for example, and different other types of cells, and then they can take on the traits of these cells and actually become these types of cells. This helps with regeneration and other things. In a 2010 article called 10 Cool Things About Stem Cells, advocates for a parent health student advocate said, "Stem cells repair your tissues, organs, and they are used by your body to repair surrounding tissues." As I said, these are blank slate cells, so they're really good for a lot of things. Some of the things that have been done is they've been successfully used to treat brain injuries, and they've successfully been used to grow muscle tissue, as well as the cancers that we discussed. Leukemia, for one, has been treated. In 2010, Michael Hoffman wrote an article called "Amazing First, a Leukemia Patient Completely Cured with Cord Blood Stem Cells." In the article, he states that the procedure, which was conducted in 2005, was on a 4-year-old girl who had been pronounced with a terminal form of leukemia and given 3 months to live. They studied her for over 5 years after she got the umbilical cord blood stem cell treatments, and she's still alive, and the doctors have proclaimed her cancer-free. She's considered cured at this point. I think that's a wonderful testimony to the usefulness of cord blood. Now you have a pretty basic idea of some of the benefits that are involved. Let's talk about the differences between embryonic stem cells and cord blood stem cells and the advantages that come along with the cord blood stem cells. You probably think of, when you hear the word stem cells, of the controversy surrounding them, unethical behavior, Congress having fights, and so forth. This is all based on what's called embryonic stem cell research, which is what scientists do when they take a fetus and collect the tissue from there that they get their stem cells from. This is a fertilized fetus. In an article called "Water Embryonic Stem Cells" by Dr. Ananya Mandel, which was written in 2013, she states that embryonic stem cells come from fertilized embryos. This is the source of the controversy. A lot of people are dead against that. Umbilical cords have no such stigma attached to them, since they come from what's considered a waste product. In her 2005 article called "Embryonic Stem Cells versus Umbilical Cord Stem Cells," Laura Sweat says that umbilical cord blood provides just as many forms and cures as does or cures many diseases without destroying a fetus in the process. She continues that the umbilical stem cell cord blood has been known to treat over 65 diseases successfully, while the embryonic stem cells have a lot more controversy and have been proven to treat and cure none. So it escapes those dilemmas. Cord blood solves the ethical problems, and it's also more useful, but maybe you're still wondering, why should you do it? Well, as a parent, no amount of money is too much to spend on our children's health. Our parental responsibility is to do everything we can to promote the health and well-being of our children. It's really likely that if we have more than one kid or even one child, the likeliness that they're going to contract some kind of a disease is high. And so we need to do everything we can to help them be prepared for that moment should it occur. I know if my son came down with some kind of a fatal illness, I would feel horrible. I mean, I can't imagine how I'd feel. How much worse would I feel if I was told that it could have been prevented if only I'd kept his cord blood? I'd never want to hear those words, and that's why we bank our children's cord blood. In 2010, Sally Mae and Gallup did some research on how much families spend on college education and trust funds. And it's estimated that 60% of Americans save an average of about $48,000 over the course of 18 years for their child's college education. My wife and I sat down and figured out that we're going to spend about $3,000 on my son's cord blood by the time he's 18 years old. I wonder how many of those parents would spend that $48,000 to cure leukemia or another form of cancer or whatever else might arise as a cure as time goes on. So it doesn't matter if we actually use the stem cell cord blood or not. It's irrelevant. The point is having it. In closing, the benefits of a good future are bright with cord blood, but it still has a stigma given to it by the fact that the initial research was done on embryonic stem cells. But there's no reason in this modern day and age that we can't overcome that stigma, and we have every reason to save the cord blood. Collecting and saving the cord blood is a very simple matter, and the benefits far outweigh the costs. I hope I've persuaded you, because I really believe in doing this. We save our cord blood, as I mentioned. We're about to have another child in less than a month. We've already got the kid at home waiting. And I think that it's going to be as good for you and your children as I hope it will be for me. So we've discussed stem cells, the benefits and the future benefits. We've talked about the negative stigma that's attached with embryonic cord cells, stem cells, and why cord blood cells overcome this. And we've discussed the cost versus benefit part of whether you should do it, the analysis of whether or not it's worth it. I think that you're going to find that when you're confronted with this chance that you now have information that's going to help you to make the right choice, to go ahead and make the cord blood. I'd much rather get a letter from you in 20 years saying that you're really glad that you did that than get a letter from you saying that you wished you had. Thank you.